languages around the world are disappearing at an unprecedented rate, faster than any other time in recorded history, in some cases vanishing before they can even be documented or preserved. Newfoundland's linguistic story reflects this global crisis. Among the most notable of these tales is that of the Beothuk people, whose language, culture, and existence were extinguished in the wake of colonization. The Beothuk, whose name in their own language means the people, lived on the island of Newfoundland long before European settlers arrived. If you missed episode 1 of this series, you can learn about Newfoundland's history and its unique geography by clicking this link. At the time of European contact, the population size of the Beothuk is estimated to be between 500 and several thousand people. They thrived in Newfoundland's harsh environment, relying on seafood, caribou, and foraging. The rugged terrain of Newfoundland shaped the Beothuk's way of life. They adapted expertly to the island's resources, thriving on the bounty of its coastal waters. Initially, the Beothuk avoided contact with the newcomers, retreating inland as the Europeans claimed the coasts for fishing and settlement. This marked the beginning of a tragic chain of events: displacement, starvation, violence, and disease. The 17th century saw permanent European settlements expand further inland, directly encroaching on the Beothuk's hunting and fishing grounds. Efforts to survive led to conflict. The Beothuk scavenged European camps, while settlers retaliated with violent raids. This cycle of violence decimated their population. By 1768, their numbers were estimated at only 350. By 1811, fewer than 72 Beothuk people remained. Tuberculosis, introduced by settlers, was a significant factor, exacerbating the losses caused by violence and starvation. Shonaditit, the last known Beothuk, is our most vital connection to her people's history. Captured in 1823, she lived her final years as a servant before being taken into the care of William Cormac, a Scottish explorer and author living in St. John's at the time. Her sketches and recollections remain the only first-hand accounts of Beothuk culture and language. The Beothuk language is shrouded in mystery. Scholars have pieced together fragments from the records of Shonaditit, the last known Beothuk person. While it's believed the Beothuk language shared similarities with Central Algonquian languages like Innu and Ojibwe, much remains unknown. The Algic language family to which these languages belong is vast and diverse, encompassing 3 main branches: Algonquian, Wayat, and Yurok. Algonquian languages such as Cree, Ojibwe, and Mi'kmaq make up the largest portion of the Algic language family and are spoken across much of Canada and the northern United States. While the exact placement of Beothuk within this family remains speculative, the evidence of similarities in phonetic patterns and vocabulary suggests a potential distant connection to Central Algonquian languages like Ojibwe and Cree. There's also some debate about whether the Beothuk lineage lives on. Genetic studies and oral histories from the Mi'kmaq and Innu suggest that some Beothuk intermarried with neighboring indigenous groups. To explore these mysteries further, check out my video, The Mysterious History of the Beothuk. Regardless, the language is no longer spoken, and likely any remaining aspects of Beothuk culture are non-existent. However, adding to this linguistic intrigue is a recording taken in 1910 by American anthropologist Frank Speck of a woman named Santu Tony. At the age of 74, Santu sang a song she claimed to have learned from her father in what was purported to be the Beothuk language. Born around 1835, Santu's story suggests that Beothuk linguistic traditions may have persisted beyond Shonaditit's death in 1829. While the words of the song remain difficult to interpret, modern researchers have attempted to clean and transcribe the recording. Let's take a look at some of the recording, for curiosity's sake. Beothuk vocabulary itself survives through fragmented word lists compiled during the 18th and 19th centuries. More than 400 words were collected from individuals such as Ube, Damastuit, and Shonaditit. These word lists are commonly believed to have errors and variations in how the same word was transcribed. Those transcribing these words weren't using any type of standardized writing system like the International Phonetic Alphabet we have today. They weren't linguists trained in transcribing sounds. They also likely didn't speak the same varieties of English, and so there might be variations in terms of which letters they used to write each Beothuk sound. Furthermore, there may have been sounds in Beothuk that don't exist in English, thereby leaving more room for errors and inconsistencies on the part of the transcribers. These issues complicate efforts to reconstruct the language's phonetic and grammatical structures. The Beothuk word wobe, or wobi, demonstrates notable phonetic similarities to similar words in Ojibwe, Cree, Innu, and Mi'kmaq. All these words share the initial w sound and include a consonant cluster involving bilabial stops b, p, and a vowel. These similarities might indicate a shared root in the Algonquian languages. Another word we'll look at is the Beothuk word shaban. This word demonstrates striking phonetic and structural similarities to words in Cree, Ojibwe, Innu, and Mi'kmaq. All these words share a common phonetic structure beginning with a s or sh sound, followed by a high front vowel, and ending with a bilabial consonant such as p or b. The variation in pronunciation, such as the initial sh sound in Beothuk versus the s sound in Cree and Mi'kmaq, reflects natural phonological shifts that occur over time within language families. Another word we know of is mamatik, which means dwelling in Beothuk. If we compare similar words in other Algonquian languages, we don't see the same kinds of similarities as with the other Beothuk words we looked at. An alternative spelling for mamatik in the Latham word list is my-ad-tik, or however you might pronounce it, which raises fascinating possibilities. This spelling might suggest features of the word that cannot be captured by an English speaker. Mama, for example, is an easy morpheme for English speakers to pronounce. But the presence of my-ad-tik in a different version of the word list might reflect a sound or structure in Beothuk that does not exist in English and was maybe difficult for transcribers to accurately capture. Perhaps a nasalization like ma-tik, or with maybe a glottal stop somewhere like ma-atik. This reflects a broader challenge in reconstructing Beothuk vocabulary. While we can speculate about its structure and meaning, the lack of systematic and consistent transcription limits our ability to fully understand the language's intricacies. We may never know the full beauty of the Beothuk language, its nuances, rhythms, and the cultural knowledge and worldview it conveyed. Today, the world faces a crisis of linguistic loss. Thousands of languages are endangered, each representing a unique cultural legacy. The story of the Beothuk reminds us of what's at stake and what we stand to lose. But there is hope. Across Canada and the world, some Indigenous communities are working to preserve and revitalize their languages. Efforts like these ensure that voices, like those of the Beothuk, are not silenced forever. Join us next time as we explore another chapter of Newfoundland's linguistic tapestry, how the Mi'kmaq in Newfoundland are working to revitalize the Mi'kmaq language in the region. Subscribe to my channel to learn more about the world's languages. Don't forget to turn on the notifications to be notified about new videos each week. Here are some other videos you might be interested in.